In a world where we're often too quick to judge on appearances, focus on ourselves, or find ourselves in a rush, this show is a reminder to slow down. Taste Exchange is a project that goes beyond the meals and happy hours and connects with the thoughtful human creators behind each experience. Lo and I will sit down and try and uncover what it is that connects all of us in the story of a life. Each of us is distinctly unique, yet we are all very connected. This is Taste Exchange. Welcome to our show.
James is a Charlotte native and has amassed quite the resume. At 19, he was one of the chefs who opened Soul Gastrolounge, became executive chef at Pisces at 25, has worked at the Ritz Carlton, and at 30 was the private chef for the president of the Chautauqua Institution, the nation's largest nonprofit institution, where he pulled off the most epic meal that took over 5 days to prepare. James infuses his food with love, and his goal is to instill a sense of wonderment in everyone he meets. Enjoy this conversation that touches on everything from ice cream to green apple bubbles to Dungeons and Dragons.
So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with Bob again. We've been working together for 10 years on and off at different locations. So this is a really good fit. This is also 2 streets over from my childhood home. So this really does feel like home. And I intend on making it feel that way for our guests, clientele, and anybody else that wants to come pay a visit.
Yeah.
Vicious about learning at that point. I was like, I'm going to know every aspect of all of this. I want to know molecularly what's happening. I want to know the first time that chocolate was turned into a drink. I want the like cultural and nutritional anthropology aspects. I want to know, does this dish work the same if I'm cooking it on Mount Everest? You know, like I want to know every single thing about food.
Bob has talked about you and spoke so highly of you.
He's my sweet peach.
This is sweet peach. What's important to you right now in your life?
So this is pretty close to it. Food is most certainly my love language, I guess. And this is my first opportunity in Charlotte in probably 2.5 years to be cooking and doing what I want to do the way that I want to do it. Traditionally, I've been born and raised particularly in this neighborhood. I've worked at a bunch of different restaurants in Charlotte through my early beginnings of cooking and getting into it as a serious career professionally. And then, as many people do, kind of getting burnt out a little bit, trying a couple other different things, rounding out some of my experience. Became a bartender for a little while. I've done many other food adjacent things. But this is really, I think, a good opportunity. I had taken enough time away to really understand and realize that I love making food. And so now I'm back in a position in which it's entirely up to me.
Spoke about this a little bit to us before you got here, but that you just infuse everything you do with love.
I certainly try. I catch myself in moments where I'm maybe being not so patient with people, but especially in the kitchen, like, there's no room for the weird, like, tyranny chef. whatever popularized that. And I get, for ratings and whatever, like, yeah, let's scream at people, let's call them stupid. And it's like, that's not how you get goodness out of anything. So there's no purpose for that. And so whether that be in my other creative pursuits or with food or just generally hanging out with, people that I enjoy spending time with, like that's how we like get along and should, I think, be here on the planet, is to make it easier for other people. May sound crazy or whatever, but like at the end of the day, like when Anubis puts our heart on the scale and it's heavier than a feather, you go to hell. If it's lighter than a feather, you win. So, let's take the steps to make it lighter than a feather in the world. And I'm sure that many people have lost loved ones and stuff. The last couple of years has been particularly heavy for that in my life. So it's one of those things where it's just like, just do better. Just be nice. It's not hard. It's not easy sometimes, but it's what you should be doing. And so if you can take care of people while you can, who knows when the last time you're going to see them is. So make a good meal. Tell them you love them. Don't, if you can't say something nice, just fucking leave.
Don't say anything at all.
Right, just go.
It takes just as much effort to be mean as to be kind, but so many people are maybe just raised in an environment where meanness is a thing. And in our society, sometimes it becomes easy to just complain because it's the easier thing to do. But what if we talked about our joys and gave people kindness and love?
Well, and when you find yourself, in that kind of like self-absorbed well, the best thing to do is like stop digging. So that's kind of how it works. It's like, okay, wait a second, like maybe I can get out of this if I don't know, talk to people, treat people with kindness and respect. And it goes so far every aspect of life. So, like a lot of my other both people that cook here, people that I've cooked with previously, like, might be better than you. I might be. I'm not gonna be like, I am most certainly better than you. That's an asshole thing to do. So if you see somebody doing something wrong, you're like, hey, try this. If it's the right thing, then it should make sense to everybody. So, lead by example. It's nice and easy. And then you have a ton of people that are like, yes, I will do what that person says, because they maybe know some more stuff that I don't. Or, well, I don't care if they know more than I do or not. That guy's got my back all the time. And that is so crucial to have, especially in what has been absolutely an insane year. Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen next, but I'd rather have people I can rely on than just to be alone. So. Cheating is a good lesson to learn, and whether that be like cutting corners or being disingenuous in whatever form. My grandfather taught me that lesson pretty effectively.
What was that story? Do you care to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I was the eldest of my cousins on that side, and we were all hanging out at grandparents' house one summer. We had gone to get some like bows and arrows or something from like a yard sale. So we're all in the yard and just shooting volleys of arrows back and forth at a bear painted on a cardboard box. And, all the parents are having a good time. And my grandpa, after what seems like hours, my grandpa like pulls me over to the side. He's like, hey, excuse me. There was originally a challenge issued for if anybody hits the bear through the eye, they'll take you out for ice cream. So now much missing has happened. And I'm going to get an arrow, and my grandpa pulls me over and he's like, hey, I said whoever hits him in the eye. I didn't say you had to hit him from the bow. So when you go get your arrow, go stab it in the eye, and then we can all go get ice cream. I was like, that's genius, Grandpa. Fuck. How did I not think of that? I'm like 6.
Yeah.
Of course I didn't think of that. I haven't grown up to be an excellent liar yet. So I go and I let a couple more volleys go so it doesn't seem like I'm just immediately taking this advice. And then one, go get it, stab it right through the eye. Awesome. Grandpa's like, all right, get in the van, we're going to get ice cream. So everybody's getting ice cream. I'm the last one. And my grandpa's like, all right, I'll have 2 scoops of black cherry. I'm like, sweet, this is for me. And he just grabs it and just eats it. I'm the last one, all my cousins, all my aunts, everything. Everybody's got ice cream. And I'm just like, where's my ice cream? And he's like, oh, I said I'd take you to ice cream. I didn't say I was gonna buy you ice cream. You cheated. And I was like, ah! And it's just like, from behind his back. I have synesthesia, which means that some of my senses cross over each other, and it happens to like 1 in every 4 or 5 people, but maybe you don't notice it, or people haven't compared it often with other people, but like some people can hear colors or see flavors. Mine happens to be that one. So I can, when certain flavors hit my palate, it creates like colors in my brain.
Like Ratatouille.
Yes.
Like
yes, precisely. Precisely, that's exactly what happens. So it's not like I get like just like oh, this pecan is like a color, but it's more of a, like amorphous painting when an entire dish is together. So it's kind of difficult to explain to people, but like for me, I'm like, yes, this is why food over any other thing that I might have been willing to do or talented in previously. Because it's just a weird little like, flavor explosion is a very overused term, but that's exactly what it is. But I was able to finally pull off like one of my greatest culinary achievements and attempts. And because it was so far elsewhere, I didn't get to like show people, like there was no documentation for it. But I guess I was like 15 and I found the 17-course final meal of the Titanic.
Stop it.
Yeah, which is at that point a 105-year-old menu. This is still when the world considers lobster to be sea trash.
Right.
So got to pull that off, and I've been waiting for a place to be able to do that for 15 years. And I was finally like, there are literally Rothschild family members here. This is the time, this is the place. And we didn't tell them. We didn't tell them that's what it was.
Yeah.
So course after course goes out. We hear some muttering at some point. Somebody's like, chicken lyonnaise? I haven't heard of that since I was a kid. It's like, well, no shit, you're 120. So that makes sense. But then, somebody kind of figures it out.
Yeah.
And at the very end, we're like, okay, thank you for joining us for the final first class meal of the Titanic. Everybody's just like, what? Yes! I had even told my mom, I didn't tell her that it was, disaster themed. I was like, Mom, we're doing a Downton Abbey themed menu. She's like, oh, that's so awesome. Take pictures, I love Downton Abbey. And I was just like, well, it's kind of Downton Abbey. It's more when all the rich people died, but anyway, the food is delicious. Here's a little picture of squab. Aren't they cute? So,
when did you get to do this?
This was last summer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Tell people, like, there's just course after course coming out.
Yeah.
That's great.
A true delight. And I mean, and it's all classic French cuisine. So like, as I kind of mentioned earlier, like, I used to know all of that like the back of my hand, but it's kind of fallen out of popularity.
Yeah.
So then when you like look at it and see it again, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. These things like take 4 days to prep. I'm making, pates and things that are like, okay, well, I got to blend the jowls of this animal and then bring them to this temperature and make this terrine out of this, and it's got to sit here with pressure for 3 days while it sets back up, and then I have to slice it, and you know, all of these absolutely insanely decadent. I mean, it's the Titanic.
Right.
So it is maximum effort.
Yeah. Listen, you're serving Kate Winslet.
Yeah,
So
there's no shortage of just over the top, like, okay, cool, we're doing 3 kinds of foie. We're doing foie squared. I fed foie gras 2 geese to make double foie. That's the kind of insane level that they were doing. And it's just like, man, you were on the boat for like a while. Like, how did you make this happen? And then you gotta realize it was like, 20 chefs are working on a singular dish at a time. And it's like, yeah, we don't have the staff for that. But we're gonna make it happen anyway.
yeah.
Because we're insane and that's what we do.
Yeah. And you did it.
And we did it. So
That's epic.
it's just like, all right, that one's done. I can do whatever I want now. I'm gonna retire.
I'm done.
Yep.
I'm complete.
I just gotta shout out to Grant Achatz. Like, hey man, you don't know how to smell. It's not that you don't know how to. It's that physically you can't.
Smile?
Smell.
Oh, smell.
He lost his sense of smell from cancer. However, he still leads one of the foremost dining experiences in the nation, if not the world. Pretty sweet. So as far as like manipulations of senses go, that's pretty badass. Yeah, and then, you know, some of the early gastronomic folks, Ferran Adria and Grant Achatz, Wiley Dufresne, all of those guys, that's like what I got into when I was like, dude, is that a bubble made out of green apple? Fucking sweet. Like 17, I'm like, how do I do that? I don't know how to make, is it latex? What kind of chemicals are you using? And that was when I was like, oh wow, food can be a lot more than just food.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like came back over that hill where I was just like, all right, that's cool. But my favorite food is still not like a green apple balloon. You know, like I'd rather have chicken and dumplings. So there's like some point where you gotta be real with yourself as far as like, what am I gonna eat day after day versus like, what can I be like, yep, I've had it.
Yeah.
It's cool,
Yeah.
but I'd rather this.
What do you feel like a word to like describe you is? Like, do you have like a theme for yourself in your life?
Enthusiastically unbearable.
I don't think that. Well, I don't spend enough time with you probably. We could ask Bob. But I get this like silliness from you.
There's
Like
definitely
you're
like
super silly.
Yeah, for sure. There's like, I guess my goal is like to instill wonderment.
Ooh, instill
Yeah,
wonderment.
like somewhere between like creativity and curiosity, and then like the satisfaction that both of those things bring.
Yeah.
Is like, yes, let's do that. I'm gonna trick you on purpose, and whether you figure it out or not, once you do, like, bam, ice cream cone. Shit, I don't know if I'm mad or impressed or sad or really glad.
But also there's ice cream. So just, yeah.
Yeah, ninja smoke bomb, and I'm gone. What the fuck just happened? Yep, that's James. Who knows where he is now? Yep.
That's
So
amazing.
I go with that.
Let's three-way.
Wonderment. Boom.
James. Ready? All right.
But for our entree, we have, as we may have mentioned earlier about D&D and Dungeons and Dragons, I've made D&D duck and dumplings. So this is a fun play. I think one of the first things that I learned really to make well, and one of the things that absolutely screams like home and comfort to me is chicken and dumplings. So this is a slightly different take on the same concept. What you have is a mushroom and onion cream sauce. I've taken parsnips, and roasted them, combined them with ricotta cheese and a little lemon zest, a little flour to make some parsnip gnocchi that then we seared in duck fat. We've got a lovely seared and sliced duck breast. And then our greens are dandelion and beet green and beet stem with a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a little bit of honey, and some candied pecans. So when I was thinking about this dish originally, it was the like term "a walk in the park" came up for me.
Okay.
Both as like, this is of relative ease. Originally what I wanted to cook for you guys was my take on surf and turf. My ideal surf and turf being bear and salmon, because it's a super cool, like, ecological view of what that is. And so it would be bear and salmon, parsnips, and blackberries. And so the blackberry has been brought into our dessert dish, the parsnip has been brought here. Somehow nobody in Charlotte sells bear meat, so we didn't get to do that. But then instead I was like, it'll be fine, it'll be a walk in the park. And then I was like, ducks. Ducks are in a park. What else is in a park? Dandelions, dandelion greens, nice. Parsnips are somewhere around there. It'll be fine. It'll be a walk in the park. So that's kind of what we've done. To briefly go over this, super simple kind of, I think, another sweet and delightful, simple Southern thing. It is a lemon and ginger buttermilk biscuit with blackberry and rhubarb compote and a basil mascarpone cheese. So a lot of herbal tones, a lot of sweet and bitter fruits, and then just a really nice, fluffy, delicious, slightly citrusy biscuit. Let's see.
And that sauce. Sauce.
That's the goal. That's the plan.
So good. Oh my gosh. So much flavor.
So you said this isn't going to be on the menu?
At some point, I would like to have kind of a more adventurous concept for the menu. My goal currently is approximately a third of the menu being vegan or vegetarian friendly. The middle portion of the menu being accessible to pretty much anybody. And then 3 or 4 more adventurous items. Duck, currently I've got oxtail fried rice on the menu. Things along that nature. Goat meat, goat pot pie.
No, it's just fantastic. Oh my gosh.
My very close friend is Trinidadian.